Welcome to Wanderlust and Wishes, the podcast where we explore the world one destination at a time.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Krystle.
As travel agents with fantastical vacations, we are here to share our passion for travel and help you turn your wanderlust into reality.
From hidden gems to bucket list adventures, join us as we dive into the sights, sounds, and stories of our favorite destinations.
So grab your passport, pack your bags, and let's embark on this journey together.
Welcome to episode 58 of Wanderlust and Wishes. Today we're going to talk about Royal Caribbean 101. First, though, just want to remind everyone, we talked about this a while back, but I think it's been a while. My family and I are going to be going to Vero Beach. Actually, we'll be traveling on Wednesday, the day that this podcast episode drops. So don't forget to follow along. It is Disney's Vero Beach Resort. I'm really, really excited to go. I'm ready to relax. I'm hoping that's what's going to happen.
I'm so excited to follow along. We were at the beach last year for the 4th of July, so I'm kind of depressed that we're not going to be again. And also because I feel like Vero Beach is like one of those, like, especially the Disney resort, it's very like hush-hush and there's not much out there about it. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to hear everything. So that will be a podcast coming soon. So stay tuned for all that.
Yeah, it has a private beach, or the beach in front of that's right in front of it. So, and it has a great pool. Hoping that's going to keep the girls busy so that I can just relax and not do anything. I don't know though. They're both pretty active and they want to be doing things all the time. So maybe I'll rent them like a paddleboard or something and they can go out and do that kind of stuff while I'm sitting in a chair reading a book.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
Okay. So are you ready to jump in?
Yes, we have lots of tips and things. So buckle in. You're in for great 101 on Royal Caribbean. This is one of my most favorite cruise lines for families, especially, or if you want a girls trip or honeymoon. It kind of has a wide range of things for something for everybody, basically.
Just to begin with, it has 8 different cruise line classes or ship classes. And then it has several ships within each of those classes. So if you think about with like Disney, that's basically the same amount of ships that they have total versus the amount of ship lines that they have. So it's a huge cruise line, and this will be very, very helpful for anyone that's looking into using Royal Caribbean.
We are going to talk through some of the classes and some of the ships specifically. Anytime you hear of the seas, that's a Royal Caribbean ship. The first and the smallest class is the Vision class. And then by size, it goes up to Radiance, Voyager, Freedom, Oasis, Quantum, Quantum Ultra, and Icon class. I know that's a lot to remember, but basically Vision and Radiance are smallest. Icon, Quantum, Oasis are the big daddies.
Yeah. The Icon class is the one that has been the most recent, where they're like floating cities. They're absolutely humongous. So we're going to talk through kind of the pros and cons of some of the different classes just to help you out with which one is the right one for your type of cruising.
So let's start with one of the biggest mistakes first-time cruisers make, and that is assuming that all cruise ships are basically the same. As we just talked about, spoiler, they're not. Royal Caribbean has over 20 ships across, what did we say, 8 classes?
8 classes. Mm-hmm.
And the experience can vary widely from one ship to the next. So booking the cheapest cruise you can find might seem like a good way to test the waters, but it may lead to some disappointment. That budget sailing might be on one of the older or smaller ships with fewer amenities, no water slides or Broadway shows, limited dining options. So if you're picturing a mega ship with a zip line, a flow rider, or even a dozen different restaurants, you may be in for quite a shock.
And this is also where it's really, really helpful to use a travel agent, because we can help you through these things. Oftentimes, it's very easy to immediately look at, oh, wow, that cruise is super inexpensive and I just want to go on a cruise, and you just click on it and you just book it. We'll be able to tell you this option that maybe you brought to us has some of the not negatives, but just maybe not have everything that you're looking for, just like Krystle was saying. So if you're looking for all the bells and whistles, with water slides, ice skating, zip lining, the Broadway shows, basically high energy, everything, then you may want to look into the Icon class, the Oasis class, or the Quantum class ships. They have tons of entertainment and activities for all ages, and they're especially great for multi-generational families or cruisers that just want something to do constantly, that you have something to do all the time. But on the flip side of that, if you're looking for a more relaxed pace with less people and more scenic itineraries, then you want to look at the Radiance class or the Vision class, which Krystle mentioned earlier. They're smaller and they are some of the older ships. That doesn't mean that they have been refurbished. So don't think that they are necessarily run down. They're just smaller because they were some of the earliest ships that were created within Royal Caribbean. So if cruising on one of the huge ships that can't get into some of the smaller ports, that's something that you would rather do, these ships are going to be a better fit for you.
So the kicker here is even within the same class, not every ship has the exact same features. For example, not all Oasis class ships have the same shows. The Wonder of the Seas doesn't have a Broadway show like the Harmony does. And if you have young kids and you want a splash park or water slide is a must, you'll want to skip Vision class ships entirely because they just don't have those amenities. So basically, moral of the story, don't book based on price alone. Research the ship you're sailing on or talk to us because we know. And then we can make sure it matches your vacation vibe. Bigger isn't always better, but booking blindly might ruin your trip. So especially if you get on board and are expecting big slides and things, and you might be getting a quiet cruise instead.
Right. And you may have some very bored teenagers if you're if you're going with kids.
Oh, yes.
So you book your cruise. That doesn't mean you're completely done until you board. There are things that you would want to do prior to getting on the cruise. And that's pretty consistent across all cruise lines. But for Royal Caribbean, there are typically some really great discounts if you book your drink packages, specialty dining packages, and Wi-Fi before you go on the cruise. A lot of times they'll have Black Friday deals that can be up to 50% off. For some reason, if you book something that's 50% off and then you realize another sale happens and it's more than that, you do have the option to get refunded for what you already booked and then book the new deal and you'll be good to go.
Check-in typically opens 45 days prior to your cruise. And as TAs, we're always the people that say, yes, you probably need to check in right at 12:01 Eastern time to grab your earliest boarding slot, because the earlier you check in, the earlier you can board. And we always think those first couple hours are golden. Hit the pool, explore the ship, get lunch. You're already paying to be there, so why delay it 3 or 4 hours?
Absolutely. And Royal does send you, if you're booking through a travel agent, they'll send it through your travel agent. They do send you your luggage tags, and you will want to print those and get some plastic luggage tag holders. You can get them from Amazon.
Get the Royal specific ones. They have like the measurements. Don't be thinking you're getting a Disney one. Because
yes.
the luggage tags are different sizes.
But they are, if you print them and they're paper tags, they will easily rip while your luggage is loading. So it's much better for you to purchase something that can keep them secure and keep them from getting ripped. Much less stress on embarkation day. You don't want to be worried about whether your luggage tag is going to rip or not.
And we've mentioned this in the past, but put an air tag in your suitcase. And I would probably even take it a step further and take a picture of your luggage, just so if anything does happen, if they're going into a warehouse full of lost luggage, you can show them a picture and be like, this is what it looks like, and this is where it's at according to the air tag.
We've also mentioned this tip before. This is across all cruise lines. Arrive at the port the day before. Arrive in the city where the port is the day before. Please don't schedule your flight to arrive at like 10:30 in the morning and you're supposed to board at 11:30. That is a very bad idea, because if for some reason your flight gets either canceled or delayed, which you've heard Krystle and I talk about this, it's happened to us multiple times when we've been traveling. It's just part of traveling now that your flights can get delayed and the ship's not going to wait on you. So don't make that mistake. You just paid, a good amount of money to go on this cruise. Use some extra money to spend the night in a hotel, come in the day before, and get up and be there and ready to go for your cruise. And if some delay does happen, you have in that built-in extra time.
And as always, use a travel advisor. I know it sounds a little bit self-serving, but seriously, I sit on hold with Royal Caribbean. If there's a price drop, I can apply it. If there's a storm delay or you even need something like a CPAP machine, we can make sure that's all taken care of so you don't have to stress about it.
Yeah. And we're going to find out, any of the questions that you have. If we don't already know the answer, we have like 100 other agents in our agency that can help us with that. Or like Krystle said, we're going to sit on hold for however long we need to speak to someone with Royal Caribbean to confirm whatever it is that you're looking to get answered.
All right, let's talk about picking the right stateroom. So you'll hear a lot of advice about this, but basically, here's the skinny location matters, especially on a cruise. And cruising is unique because we can actually pick your exact room and you can find YouTube videos with walkthrough videos. You are prepared and know exactly where you'll be and get the layout in your mind beforehand, unlike a resort where who knows where you'll end up until you check in. So if you're worried about seasickness, choose a stateroom that's midship and on a lower deck. The motion tends to be more stable there. And avoid things like being directly under the pool deck, near nightclubs or casinos, if you want more peace and quiet.
And typically, too, if you're looking for more peace and quiet, if you go towards most of the time the rooms at the front of the ship, just because there's fewer of them, just based on the geography of the way that the ship is shaped, there's less rooms and it tends to be quieter and for the most part less likely to be below some kind of activity that's going to cause noise. If you're traveling with someone who has mobility needs, or if you're just not a fan of longer walks, make sure that you get a stateroom that's near the elevator. That's just that's just going to be easier for whoever it is that has accessibility issues. They're not going to have to walk quite as long. Rooms near elevators tend to go first. So make sure that if you need something like that, you can book early. There's also obviously accessible rooms available as well, like specifically for that purpose. But there's also limited amount of accessible rooms on a ship.
If you have a sailing coming up, or if you've ever sailed on Royal Caribbean before, you might have gotten an email called Royal Up. So this is Royal Caribbean's bid-based upgrade system. After you make your final payment, you might get an email inviting you to place a bid on a suite. These are usually like unsold things. It can be tempting and it can be a great value, but remember it's non-refundable and you just kind of blindly bid and you don't know if you're going to win. So if they accept your bid, then you don't get to pick your exact room. It's kind of a blind thing. So only bid what you're comfortable spending, because if you win, it will charge you immediately. So be prepared to land somewhere less ideal, but it might be worth, $800 to upgrade from inside to a suite. Like it could be crazy cheap, but be careful there.
Typically, when we all think of cruising, except for maybe like going to Alaska or something, but typically we think about swimsuits and sandals and, sunny, type environments. But you do want to make sure that you're thinking through if you want to do rock climbing, zip lining, go-karts, ice skating, any of those activities, you do want to make sure you're packing things that make sense. You want to have closed-toed shoes and socks that's required for most of those activities. If you're doing ice skating, long pants, they will make sure that you have them before they let you out there. I'm sure that is a liability for them. They do not want to have someone complaining because they fell or maybe scraped their legs or something like that on the ice if they're not wearing long pants. A bar of laundry soap. The laundry services on a ship can be pricey. So if you just need to do a little hand washing, something that's, maybe you just got a little bit of something on and you just on your clothes and you need to wash that off. That's very quick and easy to do. A lanyard or magnetic hooks for your CPass card. The magnetic hooks are very popular in general. They make it much easier to be able to hang things up and not have to worry about finding it when you need it. And then remember that you can bring up to 12 bottles or cans of non-alcoholic drinks per stateroom. So you're thinking soda, water, energy drinks, that kind of thing. And then 2 750 milliliter bottles of wine per stateroom, one per adult, basically. I think in this case, this is definitely a way for you to save some money on drinks. But then on the flip side of that, if you have a 12-pack of cans or bottles of wine, that's also going to be extra things in your luggage. So you want to think about that and whether, all of that's worth it or not.
Make sure you don't put your drinks in your checked luggage. That could end in disaster.
Oh, yes. That will not end well for you.
So now one of my favorite things is food and dining. So one of the biggest surprises I hear from first-time cruisers is the complimentary food is actually pretty good. You don't need to spend extra on specialty dining to eat well. That said, a few fun tips that you might not know. Johnny Rockets, the classic burger joint that we all know and love, is on Oasis class ships, and you can do free breakfast at Johnny Rockets, but most people don't take advantage of that. The main dining room is open usually for breakfast and lunch on sea days, and they serve totally different menus than at dinner. So you can just go sit down and get a nice sit down dinner or lunch instead of dealing with the buffet. If you want a sandwich that you'll dream about later, everybody raves about the Kumalek roast beef sandwich at the Park Cafe. It's iconic for a reason, so go seek it out and try it. If you want to try specialty dining, you don't need to buy a package for your kids. Kids 0 to 5 eat free, and kids 6 to 12 are only $10 per specialty restaurant. Just let the server know that the adults have the dining package and the kids don't, so you're not spending extra money you don't need to. And then 2 restaurants worth mentioning, Chops Grill and Giovanni's. Both offer lunch at a much lower price than dinner, like $10 to $15 cheaper per person. So I know Giovanni's is the Italian, and I think Chops is like a steakhouse, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I agree. Just a little bit more information on drinks, Wi-Fi, and the key. Drink packages do work on the ship and at the private destinations, Coco Cay and Labadee. Coco Cay is the Bahamas location, and Labadee is in Haiti. Also, if you choose to purchase Wi-Fi, it will work at Coco Cay, but it does not work in Labadee. There are 2 options for Wi-Fi. Voom is the name of the Wi-Fi that they offer. You can do Surf, which is basic internet and messaging. And then the second option is Surf and Stream. That includes Netflix, FaceTime, and video calls. And then there is the Key, which is Royals Premium add-on. It includes early boarding, priority access to shows, a special embarkation day lunch, and then Voom Internet for one device. If you see something where the Key is discounted or there's a promotion on it and it's priced close to what the typical Wi-Fi package is priced, then the Key is going to be worth it just for having the extra perks because you're paying the same amount as you would for Wi-Fi, and then you're getting the extra pieces as well.
I think priority access to shows would be like huge.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because a lot of those shows will definitely sell out. And if you're able to jump in on those, that would be a huge benefit.
Speaking of shows, let's talk about entertainment and activities. Royal Caribbean is known for its endless entertainment options. Often people make the big mistake of not realizing you need to reserve seats ahead of time on many of the ships. Reservations for Broadway-style shows, the aqua theater performances, and ice skating shows usually open up about 30 days before your cruise. You'll want to book early to guarantee a seat, especially on Oasis, Icon, or Quantum class ships. These shows they're incredible. So think full-on Broadway productions at sea, and they're included in your cruise fare. So, You would be sad if you miss them. But here's the catch. If you don't check in 30 minutes before showtime, they'll release your seat to the standby line. So make sure you are prepared and you're there. Don't cut it close. And then another under the radar tip is during sailaway, you can actually go to the helipad on the Voyager, Freedom, and Radiance class ships. And you can actually go out to the bow, the front of the ship during sailaway. It's usually quiet. The views are spectacular, and it's a great alternative if you don't have a balcony. So this one is a hidden gem for sure. And then if you're looking for fun on sea days, get to activities like trivia, dance classes, or escape rooms early. Slots do fill fast, especially for things like the North Star, iFly on Quantum class ships, or something we like to tell everybody is talk to the crew. They know all of the hidden gems, the secret spots. They know what's happening when. So basically become friends with your little room stewards because they are your best piece of information.
Shore excursions. You have two main options, booking through Royal Caribbean, or you can use a third-party tour operator. But there are some pros and cons for each of them. For Royal Caribbean excursions, one of I feel like the biggest pros is that they come with a guaranteed return to the ship. So if the tour runs late, the ship's not going to leave you. The tour is through Royal Caribbean. So they will alert the ship that it ran late and not everybody's back yet. It can be paid with an onboard credit, which is nice. And they are also fully refundable if the ship can't dock due to weather. For third-party excursions, they do tend to be smaller and more personalized. Sometimes as well, they will have different age limits. So something that's booked through the cruise line, they may say you have to be at, X age or above. It's usually 5 or above. But some of the third-party excursions, they'll let you go in. It'll be more like 3 or 4. And you might be able to get on the excursion with a younger child. They often cost less than Royal Caribbean options. And then they may just offer something that's unique that you're not going to find through the cruise line. For me, the biggest negative of third party is that you don't have a guaranteed return to the ship. So if something were to happen and it were to run late, that always makes me really nervous. And I tend to make sure that is in bold, highlighted in like extra highlighter off, marker. That is something that you have to accept when you're using third party excursions. However, if you're more adventurous or you have flexible plans, third party options are definitely a great way to save and explore. My personality is that I'm not going to be adventurous when it comes to being left by the ship. So I'm typically going to go through the cruise line for those kinds of things.
Well, with the cruise line, they vetted the operators. Mm-hmm. And so if you're booking third party, you're kind of run the risk of you don't know what you're going to show up to.
Also, don't forget that port days can be one of the best days to actually stay on board. A lot of people do use them to go do excursions off of the ship. And so you're going to have fewer crowds going to the pool and just kind of chilling out. If you have your kids with you and they want to be on the water slides all day, there's going to be less of a wait there. One of the other areas that is a great option for a port day is a spa. The spas tend to have really great deals on port days, up to 30%, because the ship has less people, they have less bookings, and they need to fill those slots. Just speaking of spas in general, your best prices for spa deals are going to be after you board the ship. So we talked about some of the other things like Wi-Fi and drink packages and specialty dining, doing those before and getting a discount. Spa is kind of the opposite. If you want a spa reservation for a specific time, absolutely do that. But if you just know you want to go to the spa and you want a good deal on it, wait until after you get on the ship. There's deals on embarkation day. Like I was mentioning, port days are a great time to do that. There's also a lot of times the last couple of days of the cruise, because if there's any spaces that are left open, they're going to offer some really great bundled deals for those days to make sure that they fill those spots. The other thing that you can do is sign up for the Vitality Spa raffle on embarkation day. and go to that raffle drawing that same day, they will give away free spa treatments. And a lot of times, people that do sign up, they don't show up, which increases your odds of winning. So if you really want to get a free spa treatment, that's a really awesome option.
Next, let's talk through families. You all know that I love Royal Caribbean. For families, it's fantastic. But there are a few things that can make your life so much easier. First, head to the Adventure Ocean. This is the kids club on embarkation day. So embarkation day is like a busy day. So that's why we say get there early. There's an open house where you can tour the space. You can ask questions, register your kids, meet the staff. Many parents will wait until the evening session starts, and then the line is really long. So get it done early, and then you're already good to go. You're already registered. We already talked about specialty dining deal. Don't sign up your kids for a dining package because it's not worth it. And then let's talk about Perfect Day at Coco Cay. It is included on many Caribbean itineraries and is a dream for families. But some areas like the water park do cost extra. So just be aware of that. You can find promos on it like everything else beforehand, but the beach, splash pads, and pools are free. And then your drink package works there too. If you have large extended family, oftentimes if you like book through us, we try to like make sure that you are all kind of blocked together or in close proximity so you're not spread out all over the ship, which can be a pain if you're trying to send kids to grandma's room or to cousin's room. If you just need a break, go to the solarium. It's a great adults only retreat that's quieter, shaded, perfect for the grandparents or anyone who just needs a little less chaos in their lives. Send the kids to the kids club and go hide out in the solarium with a book.
Yeah, it's amazing to be able to just go to the adults only area. Even though obviously it can be very fun to go with your kids, but all the parents out there, you also know that it's nice to have time to yourself.
I just need a 5-minute breather. Just 5 minutes.
Sorry, I had a little mom guilt there for a minute when I was like, I was going to recommend going without your children.
I'm not. No. You may save your sanity. But also, we're going to talk about this in the next session. If you and your husband are to go on a cruise, you can get the onboard credit for the next cruise, and then it's cheaper to take your entire family. Don't feel bad about just doing like a quick little getaway with your partner because it may save you a lot of money in the long run.
And sanity, apparently.
Yes.
Right? A couple of money saving tips. We've mentioned this before that booking early is the absolute best way to save money, especially if you're booking during wave season, which is typically January through March. At the beginning of the year, it's after the holiday rush and everybody's thinking of when they want to go on vacation for the year. And cruise lines know that that's the case. And so they offer fantastic rates. And you also have the best options for cabin choices. Whenever you book last minute, you're going to get what you get. And you may not get what you would like to have. And if you book early, you're going to get the best room and you're going to get a better rate. However, if you book early, you also do have the option to continue to look for other deals that come in. So that is another benefit of using a travel agent. You have the option to reprice as those deals come out. Krystle, actually this week, we were chatting through it. She was able to save one of her clients $1,300 on a deal that just dropped from Royal Caribbean. And that's huge. I mean,
That's a huge saving.
Yeah, it's a major savings. The other thing is to go ahead and prepay for your gratuities. You can do this as part of your cruise fare. Or as part of your booking. That's something that we can do for you. We can go ahead and get it done. It's typically right now it's $18.50 a day per person for your typical stateroom, and then $21 a day per person for suites. This is going to be paid regardless. So it's basically prepaying it allows you to go ahead and get that done and not worry about it once you're on the ship. If you don't prepay it, you're going to get charged for it while you're on the ship.
This is one of those like hidden fees that people don't realize when they're like looking online and they're like, oh, it looks like this. And it's like, no, actually the final price is this. And they say, but how? Well, it's things like this that you're going to pay regardless. So let's get it out of the way. Let's roll it into your monthly or bi-monthly payments that you're making anyway.
Absolutely. Another thing is using your onboard credit wisely. You can spend it on excursions, your drinks, spa, photos, lots of different things. We can also help you with those kinds of things, those kinds of questions. If you are not sure what the best option is for using your onboard credit, we can help you with that.
Something that a lot of people don't realize that is if you own 100 shares of Royal Caribbean stock, you're eligible for shareholder onboard credit. It ranges from $50 to $250 depending on the length of your cruise and your cabin. There's a form that we need to submit 3 weeks before sailing. I would even aim for a month just to be safe. So if you own stock, let us know and we can get that form to you. And then, like I was mentioning earlier, they have this nifty next cruise office that you can book your next cruise on board to get a reduced deposit and extra onboard credit and usually better rates. So it still goes back to your travel advisor if you list them. If you do not list us, let us know and we can get it transferred immediately just so we can help you. And things like repricing, we can't do that if we don't have access legally to your reservation.
One of the things that you'll want to set up also before you go on your cruise is the Royal Caribbean app. It'll show you daily schedules, dining times, any of the reservations that you have in place. You can use it without purchasing Wi-Fi. However, unlike Disney Cruise Line and Carnival Cruise Line, there's no messaging between guests on the app. I think this is like a huge opportunity for Royal Caribbean. If you want to stay in touch with your group, you can buy the Wi-Fi package and then just use iMessage. If you have an iPhone, you can use WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger. Those are options that you can use to kind of message between everybody. The other thing is, as soon as you get on board, make sure that you turn your phone onto airplane mode and then connect to the Wi-Fi. Because if you don't, you're probably going to get dinged with roaming charges if you have your phone with you and you have your phone on. That might be a surprise that you're not ready for because it's going to pick up the international roaming fees while you're on the ship.
All right, so just some final pro tips. We've rounded up some fun, lesser known tips or reminders. First, Royal Caribbean doesn't automatically leave the cruise compass in your cabin anymore. This was like a printed out itinerary for your cruise, but you can still request a paper copy from your stateroom attendant, or you just get everything in the app.
Continental room service breakfast is free. If you do want to order hot items, there will be a $7.95 fee, but that's a pretty cool thing that you can get room service, continental room service every day for free.
I think this is especially helpful for like if you have young kids and like on port days, because you can have breakfast sent to you while you're getting ready and not trying to like rush to the breakfast and get back and all that.
Rush off the ship if you need to go do something. Yeah.
If you're cruising on a class with the boardwalk, ask about the aqua theater shows. They're incredible and I would not miss them. If you've ever stumbled upon like a Instagram reel or TikTok of the performers diving, I don't know how they do it. It's amazing. Every once in a while I stumble upon some of the like performers and they'll like talk through how they do it and it blows my mind every single time.
Yeah, it is. The performers are super talented. Formal nights on Royal Caribbean are more casual than you might expect. Think a nice sundress and polo and khakis, not ball gowns and tuxedos. That is definitely not the vibe for
Although you could if you wanted.
You might
Save
be overdressed
space.
there.
I think we mentioned this every cruise episode, but it's that important. Bring magnetic hooks for the walls in your cabin. The walls are metal, so it's an easy way to hang lanyards, hats, wet bathing suits, all the extra storage.
Another huge tip is Royal Caribbean always runs on ship time. Whatever time that they have listed is what you should go by. Don't get left behind because your phone says that it's a different time frame. So make sure that you're aligned with whatever it is that Royal Caribbean says this is what time it is on the ship.
Those cell towers and time changes can get super tricky with technology. So just stay aware.
Yeah, just be careful that somehow your phone doesn't, connect to the whatever time it is on the island, and that's not reflective of what Royal Caribbean says is the time on the ship. That's really the crux of what we're trying to get across.
And last but not least, pack a positive attitude. pack those patient pants. Things may
No
go a
grumpy
little
pants allowed.
things may go a little off plan, but a cruise is one of the easiest ways to relax and just have fun if you're flexible.
So overall, to wrap things up, cruising with Royal Caribbean is an incredible experience. They have private islands, they have Broadway shows, they have fantastic kids programming and wonderful specialty dining. And they also have, like we talked about, just the food and the regular dining options is also fantastic. So whether you're a first-time cruiser or you're a Crown and Anchor veteran, which is their rewards program, we hope that these tips have helped you. Also, if you loved this episode, please make sure to subscribe and leave us a review. We would absolutely love it. We want to continue to dig more into cruising with some of our episodes upcoming. We would love to do additional episodes, including a perfect day at Coco Cay. Other options would also be like a showdown between Disney Cruise Line and Royal Caribbean for families, because those are the top two for sure that we're both going to recommend. So having something like that, I think that would be a really fun episode. We would love to do something like that for you. Just let us know. And any other ideas that you have, especially specifically about cruising, we would love to hear about them.
Until then, smooth sailing.
Have a great week, everybody. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Wanderlust and Wishes.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform.
And remember, the world is full of wonders waiting to be explored. Until next time, happy travels.
Bye for now.